Tell me what you want, what you need. Tell me, tell me, tell me. Tell me what you want, what you need. Tell me, tell me, tell me. Tell me what you want, what you need. Tell me, tell me, tell me. Tell me what you want, what you need. Tell me, tell me, tell me.
I'm here at Stobsmuir Ponds in Dundee. Thought I would show you this place because this is actually a really good place to come in Dundee if you want to sit, relax, enjoy the peace and quiet, watch the birds, or if you're like me, do a bit of bird photography and videography. This is a really good place to come. As you can see, there are lots of different birds here. There's ducks, tufted ducks, mallards, there's swans, there's coots, there's pigeons and seagulls, and a couple of different, quite a few different types of birds that be hanging around here and live here. You can see there's swan here. There's several different couples, breeding groups and couples of swans in and around Dundee. Not just here, there's swans like Stobsmuir Ponds, Riverside Nature Park, Plateau Park. There's actually several locations in Dundee where you can see and we have some breeding swans. The three that are hanging around here, which is here at the secondary pond. I'll show you the main pond in a moment and give you a few bird photography and etc. tips. But this is the secondary pond, which is actually still quite a large area that you can see. These three swans here are kid swans. These are not any of the breeding pair that are here at Stobsmuir Pond, which are called Sid and Sarah. These are three of the kids who are still hanging around. I thought last week there was only two of them hanging around. Maybe one was, as Sid and Sarah were doing just a little bit earlier, maybe hanging around on the island, which I'll let you see shortly. But these three kids are still hanging around. So like I said, this is the secondary pond, I will call it. Still a very, very large area. A lot of more ducks were introduced last year, I think trying to combat the kind of the pigeon and seagull population, because they were taking quite they were taking over quite a bit, I would say, and so I think that was kind of done to try and battle that. But as you can see, it's very busy down here because again the main pond is still frozen a little bit, but with the way the sun is hitting this one, it's a bit more thawed out. Let's go up to the main pond though, and I can show you. And as you can see, maybe down, you can't see maybe here, well there's one here. There are several benches around here as well, so again, if you're not walking around doing photos or video, you can just sit, eat sandwiches, have a drink, take in the sights and the sounds, of course. Well, let's go up to the main pond. This is the main pond, as we'll call it, the primary pond. This is the main kind of area. Again, you can see it's slightly frozen. This, and again, there's benches all around this. I won't show you the other side of it, it's just basically a view from the other side. This is actually the best side in terms of view, because all you really see the bit of grass over there, and then a view of this other side of the island. But you can walk right around this area, like the secondary pond. You can actually walk right along all over it. You can walk right out around it if you wish to. So this is, again, when it's not frozen, where a lot of the birds will actually swim about, including I don't know whether you can see them. They're a little bit in the distance, and they're keeping away from people right now, but in the distance maybe you can see some movement, and that's Sid and Sarah the breeding couple here at Stobsmuir Pond. I probably can't maybe see them too great in this GoPro, but they are there. Maybe they'll come closer and I can input a clip there, but they're keeping away from people right now. A couple of bits to look out for. I'll make sure I give you this little bit of local knowledge. But if you're down here and this isn't frozen and the birds are swimming around, especially Sid and Sarah, the couple, this is actually a good area to see them swim about. Again, on a nice warm summer's day, this is kind of the general area where they will hang out. Again, you see the island. That island is where a lot of them, if I haven't already said this, they will nest and hatch their young there, and they'll hide out when they kind of want to. There was a couple of herons that lived here, but whether they're here still or not, I'm genuinely not sure. I think they normally come out very, very early. Maybe they're still here, I don't know. I haven't been here and seen them in quite some time, so whether genuinely they're still here or not, I'm not entirely sure. But anyway, if they are, that is where they're hiding out. A couple of good bits to look out for if you're here about mid-morning. Once we're now, this is the 8th of March, so maybe in a couple of months, when Sid and Sarah have another brood of cygnets, one good thing to look out for, whether you're here photo and videoing or just enjoying the area, one good bit to look out for is actually this area here. You can see the ramp right in front of you there. When they want to, Sid and Sarah will lead the cygnets up this ramp. They will then waddle, because obviously they're sporting their weight, swans are big, and body and slightly little in legs. They will actually go from this ramp, walk across and settle right on this patch of grass. This is the patch of grass really right here, literally on the edge of it, because you see it's a little hill slightly, but that's the patch of grass where they will actually sit with their young. That's a really good sight to see. A lot of people will take photos and video on their phone, of course, but that's something to look out for if you're here maybe about mid-morning. I think they do it twice a day. They come out of the water and just sit and nap and preen themselves, but that's also a good thing to look out for regardless of whatever reason you're here. It's a good thing to watch, and I've got a few good photos over the last couple of years with that. Something else to look out for, again, if you're especially if you're taking photo or video, one thing you can see plenty of is these rocks that have been introduced last year. Certainly this area got a lot of attention last year, introducing some ducks, etc., and population and stuff, but also introducing these rocks and plants happened last year. One thing that obviously, again, when it's thawed out, that you can actually have a good look out for is the birds actually standing. And again, we're a bit far away, but typical, there's pigeons. I'll go down here, maybe they'll go away. Some birds still a wee bit skittish, and yeah, well, they're not, well, they'll say they're gone off the rocks there, but I'll put up a couple of photos to show you. But obviously when it's thawed out, a lot of them, you see one coot nesting there, but one good thing that they do is stand on those rocks. That's what the rocks are there for them to sit and stand on, and so they'll do that. You can get a good opportunity for photos there, if you can, as I said, because they're not hanging about there because it's all pretty frozen, and there's people feeding them a little bit earlier, and some of the coots especially, and a few of the birds, the ducks, they were slipping and sliding, weren't they? Yeah, they were slipping and sliding quite a bit on the ice around here. So they're not obviously in this area right now, but there's a lot of rocks right up this side of the, I don't think there's any on the other side, but certainly on this side you can see there's several, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 groups of rocks that you can see. And again, if you're in your photos or video or whatever, or just watching them, you'll see them standing and sitting on these rocks. Again, there's a good look at some of them. I'll go a little bit towards the edge, but not too far. But that's kind of typical. Some rocks there, and they'll stand on those, and again, if they stay there, you can get an opportunity for a few decent pictures, perhaps. And you can see some of the evidence of them being on the rocks. Yeah, I think some plants have taken more than others. Maybe that's partially to do with the birds picking at them a little bit. I saw that the other day when I was here. But certainly these are good for, again, even just sitting on a bench watching them if you want to. They're a bit awkward in terms of where the benches are for watching them, but you can stand and watch them. Again, a lot of tufted ducks and stuff hanging around. See, Sid and Sarah seem to be keeping away from people today. Whether that's to do with their kids on the secondary pond or not, but I don't know, but they certainly seem to keep keeping away from people. But anyway, this is a good area to come and, again, enjoy the bird life, sit, relax. Especially, I mean, it looks nice and sunny, but it's actually pretty cold today. Actually, it's actually quite cold today. Though it may look really sunny and warm, it is actually pretty freezing. But yeah, again, the reason before I can wrap this video up, one of the reasons why I wanted to do this video was I was talking a couple of months ago to a couple. I'm not sure that they were actually like from Dundee, but they do live here now. Apparently they supposedly didn't realise that this place existed. And yes, it is a little bit noisy here as well. We're in between a couple of main roads, so it can be a little bit noisy. But I don't. Birds obviously they get used to it. Again, some of the ducks when they were introduced last year were a little bit skittish, particularly of the noises. But obviously over time they'll settle down. Well, they have settled down and got used to the different noises and sounds that happen here at Stobsmuir Ponds. So that's a good thing. But yeah, this is actually, say, a good place to come if you want to just relax and look at that. That's really nice, isn't it? Don't know if you can see that properly. Maybe I'm a little bit too close, but it looks really nice today here. But again, it's freezing cold. So I'm about to head off home, I think. Taking a few photos, enjoyed a couple of hours here. But I think it is time for me to head on home. But yeah, this Stobsmuir Pond, again, just one of a few locations in Dundee that has like some breeding swans around. One final piece of advice. I've been talking about the birds, I've been talking about, you know, the different, the swans and the ducks and the mallards and all, everything else. One final piece of advice I will leave you with is again related to Sid and Sarah, especially when they have their young. Be respectful, keep your distance. They, let's say you can kind of see them, but they're keeping right to the middle of the pond. They were really skimming the outside of that island earlier on. They've come out a little bit now, but maybe it's just this time of year, but they're very much keeping away from people. But again, one thing I would certainly say is to give them, be respectful, keep your distance a little bit, especially especially Sid and Sarah. Their birds here are they're used to people being around, and they're not too bothered about people with cameras like myself and taking their picture and stuff. But sometimes, especially Sarah, will tell you when they've had enough and want to be left alone. That does happen. It has to me, and there's a couple of photographers that come down here on a regular basis. They will tell you when they've had enough and want to be left alone. Basically, so if you are here taking photos and video, if they do become a little bit snappy, snippety at you, then that's kind of your cue to withdraw a little bit. But again, I don't know how people could say that they don't realise this place exists. It is actually a really, really good place to come in Dundee. Again, if you're in your bird photography or videography, or if you just want to sit and enjoy the birds for a while, or if you are just want somewhere to relax and sit for a while, bring young kids to see birds in the wild, etc. It's actually a really good place to come. So this is Stobsmuir Ponds in Dundee. I'll try and find out again if there's exact address and put it on the screen. But yeah, that is Stobsmuir Ponds. It's a really good place to come if you want to, if you enjoy birds, whatever way, photos, video, or just sitting and watching and relaxing and letting the world go by. There's Stobsmuir Ponds.